to DeFi, Degen, Strip, and Farm for Poverty, where on this channel, our vision is to empower the impoverished by helping you find financial freedom through crypto assets. Please subscribe and leave a comment and a thumbs up. Hey guys, welcome back. DeFi, Degen, Strip, and Farm for Poverty. So I realized that I haven't explained this concept of NFTs on the channel and just assumed most people knew, but I looked at some of the comments and saw that you guys use these videos and share them with other people. So you may be aware, but trying to explain the concepts to other people, they may be more new than you. So we've talked about Scratchies and now this new Drip Mega Pump event that are all tying around NFTs, and it made me realize that never once did I actually explain what NFTs are and why they're significant and why they're a game changer in regards to what's happening in the blockchain crypto space. So first, let's get into what is an NFT. And for those of you that already know, I apologize, but hopefully maybe I'll add some insight for you if you explain this to other people as well. So NFT, non-fungible token. Basically, it means something that is unique and cannot be exchanged like evenly. So the most common forms of non-fungible tokens that we've encountered in our current life before the blockchain came around would be like airline tickets. So anyone that was flying prior to COVID, this used to be the way that you would get something. It would be a physical ticket, right? And since it was tied to your name, they would look at your ID and the ticket, and then they knew that that was indeed your ticket, and it matched your identification, so you get on the plane. Then it went to online, like basically being sent a QR code, but it was still the same thing. Someone had to identify that you were Christopher Miles in this case, and that your ID matched the name on this QR code, and that your face in person matched that ID. This is pretty much a non-fungible token. You could send this ticket to anyone you wanted, but the airline's job would be to make sure that nobody else got on the plane. And that was probably the most common form of that, but this was in a kind of centralized manner. So this is all independent for each airline and each company, but that's the easiest way to wrap your head around it. We also have digital concert tickets. So if you've ever gone to a concert ticket or a concert, or a movie, if it was sent as a QR code, which these are not showing as QR codes, once you checked in, then no one else could use it. So it was essentially non-fungible in the regards to no one else could use that ticket, even if you copied and sent it to multiple places, because it would show up in the database that it has been used. But if you go back to this older form, if you actually still got physical tickets, this can also be considered a non-fungible token as well, because even though it may look identical to someone else's, your particular entrance to the Rogue Waves concert might have some sentimental value, and you might have kept that ticket and put it in a shoebox, maybe from your first date or something like that, and you collected it. So it had sentimental value. So it was a collectible for you and some kind of memorabilia, basically. So NFTs in that regard now are just taking this form and making a digital representation of it. So collectibles always have value based on the community that's willing to collect it. So some physical collectibles that you may be familiar with, these are toys from like the 90s, and they run for hundreds to thousands of dollars. Most common collectibles are like baseball cards and trading cards, and only the community in like Pokemon would actually care about the price, whereas someone who doesn't collect Pokemon cards could care less. Someone who doesn't want a Teddy Ruxpin doll could care less. But within that community of people that understand its intrinsic value to them, it means something, and they're willing to pay a lot of money for it. So even though these things may have cost pennies on a dollar to produce, within that community, they're worth a lot of money. Now, how does that tie into NFTs, the actual digital version? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the future is indeed digital. Here's a great representation of that. This is kind of just like a tree showing you the direction that things are going. So the world's biggest bank with no actual cash, that's Bitcoin. The world's largest taxi company owns no vehicles, so they're digital. They don't own any physical vehicles. The world's most popular media owner owns no content. That'd be Facebook. Could arguably be YouTube, I'm not sure. But either way, neither of them own the actual content that's being produced. We are producing it, and they kind of take ownership of it and monetize it. The world's most valuable retail owner owns no inventory, Alibaba. If you're not familiar with them, pretty much everything that comes out of this world is shipped through Alibaba. It's crazy. And the world's largest accommodation provider owns no real estate, Airbnb. So they're like the largest hotel provider, but they don't own real estate. So the point of this is saying that the future is digital, meaning these goods, physical goods that came out in the 90s, and even future ones that come out, will no longer, we're still going to have physical stuff we interact with, of course, but the future will be digital goods and services. And that's where NFTs come into play. So when you're able to actually have a representation of a NFT, be it a picture or whatever the case may be, the blockchain allows you to prove that you own it. Just like if you showed this collectible to someone, you prove that you own it because you have it in your possession. So the blockchain does that as well. So NFTs in and of itself is just a way to prove digital ownership of a good versus someone taking a picture of it and saying that's mine. So that's why this is revolutionary, because not only now can you prove that this NFT you own, I don't have any actually pictures of NFTs on here, that you own. One second. All right, so now you can prove that you own these images, so to speak. So what actually happens on the blockchain is you're actually owning nothing more than some code. The code is the part that is being represented on the blockchain by a bunch of hexadecimal numbers and letters that represent a string of characters in a transaction. And that is tied to your wallet. But what they've done with NFTs is just basically put a picture on top of that because it's easier for you to identify with an image than it is with a super long alphanumeric string, right? So you're proving that you own this picture of little pudgies or whatever the case may be. Now, what makes NFTs so revolutionary is because you can put anything in front of that transaction or those alphanumeric numbers or strings, sorry. So anything can represent that, and that's proving digital ownership of that item. So someone taking a screenshot of this is very different than looking on the blockchain to see the actual transaction and ID that represents this and the wallet that it's tied to. And what makes that again revolutionary is because that digital ownership can take us into other use cases in the future. So right now, a lot of NFTs are just about speculation of what is going to happen with it, be just the same as collectibles. Will it appreciate in value, and can I sell it to someone else? However, unlike these, you can't add any utility to Pokemon trading cards. For example, the only utility with the card is playing the game. However, if the cards are worth something, you can't play the game anymore because you end up possibly damaging the cards, and nobody wants damaged cards. Same thing with Pong or these Beanie Babies. You have to pretty much keep them in ideal mint condition so that someone else wants to hold that item. So the only utility is the ability to sell to someone else for a higher value. But with NFTs, since it's proof of digital ownership, someone else can say, hey, I see you own this thing. I want to give you access to XYZ. So, for example, I don't have this up anymore, but the concert ticket example, if you bought a NFT to someone's concert, and then 10 years from now they blow up even bigger and they're doing a 10-year anniversary party at their house, and they're like, anyone that has that concert NFT can now come to my house. That adds utility, that concert that you went to. So how does this tie together with Drip now is because we are moving forward with NFTs being added to Drip. And right now we know that they're coming in the form of Scratchy, but more importantly, it's this new mega pump that's coming from DeFi. So DeFi Proof has put it together, the NFTs, to add a pump to Drip, but the long-term use cases haven't even been identified yet. And he did say to me that there are some other projects being worked on already after these NFTs are released. And I told you guys that if I could offer utility for anyone that owns these NFTs, that they could exchange them for personal training and services. So the whole point of why this is revolutionary is because once you prove digital ownership, anyone else can come behind and add utility on top of that. They don't need your permission because they can see that you own that piece of art or whatever the case may be, but more specifically that token ID. And that adds additional utility and use cases in the ecosystem far beyond anything we can think of right now. Like with DeFi's project, he's going to be giving actual physical merch to people. So the drip actual sweater or jacket. But there's nothing to say that another creator can't come along and add something else to that, you know? Like I said, with me, personal training, or someone else maybe wants to do a course on technical analysis. Maybe their skill set is in trading and stuff like that, and they want to actually teach a course, and they maybe have a course on Skillshare or on Udemy already, but they're going to say, hey, anybody that owns this drip NFT can get my course for free. Like, that's adding utility to something that is in the beginning kind of speculative, but once you have it, utility can continue to be added on top of that. So that's what makes this super, super revolutionary in regards to how we're moving forward, and why this kind of little analogy shows that, yeah, the future is digital, and the capabilities that we are bringing to the blockchain and to the drip ecosystem are revolutionary in regards to what they can do. Right now, it's still new, and nobody knows how far it will go, but there's nothing stopping other DeFi projects that are bigger, that maybe have games or something like that, saying, hey, if you own this drip NFT, you can now do XYZ in our ecosystem. You can, you know, trade this in, or you get one free of this. Like, there's so many things, because again, just an NFT in and of itself is just a way to prove digital ownership. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. You guys can now have a better idea of why this is bullish for the drip ecosystem. And regardless of what happens with it initially, it's super cool to see the community creating these use cases and utility and perks and things of that nature. And then that's kind of opens up the door for maybe you guys watching this video. What kind of utility or use case can you add? How can you kind of partner with Drip and support the Drip price? I already mentioned on my channel multiple ways you can do that in regards to just actions such as, you know, commenting, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. But maybe you have a specific skill that you can offer to the community. It doesn't have to necessarily be an NFT. You can take what's already being done with the new Drip Mega Pump NFT or with Scratchy NFT. There's all sorts of stuff that you could bring innovative to the space. So yeah, the whole purpose of this video was just to help you guys understand the future of digital assets, basically, and also NFTs. I know a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth from NFTs, and it's a lot of speculation right now and hype, but it's actually a sound, fundamental piece of technology that will revolutionize the way we do things, simply because, again, there's been no way up until now to prove digital ownership. If I took a screenshot of this screen and you had a screenshot, you can't say whose is the original screenshot. But with blockchain and the token ID, public ledger, can now prove digital ownership. And whenever you transfer it, I can now prove that you transferred it or you had it. And that's another thing that adds more utilities, because we know with collectibles, whoever owned that collectible makes it have more value. So if, you know, this Superman collectible actually came from some high profile figure, we could prove that because it came with some kind of chain of custody, then it makes it more valuable. It's like, oh, that's dope. Once we know who owned it, and you can see that on the blockchain, if some celebrity owned your NFT before you did, then it has more value, because people are like, you know, that person actually had it. This is why we can prove it. So anyway, just a long way to wrap this up, and hopefully get you guys more on board with NFT utility, use case, and what the community is doing for the Drip price. So if you found that valuable, please like and subscribe. As always, we're pushing to 3K subscribers now, and we're almost done with the No Sell August campaign, so don't forget to continue with that. And of course, to get ready for the scavenger hunt coming up soon in September. Lastly, live daily and possible.